Who's the most famous person you've ever played golf with?
At Genesis, they did the Celebrity Ryder Cup, and my partner was Nick Jonas, and we played against Chris Pratt. He was very slow. Might be the slowest golfer I've ever played with.
Oh my God, Pratt. I love it.
We were like 4 holes behind on a 9-hole like little thing, and they were like, you need to speed it up. And he had all these people around him, and he'd tell like these amazing stories, and we're like, hit the golf ball.
Vanity Index podcast time. First episode we've done apart, Chad.
I miss you already, buddy. It's been too long.
Know. You know, you're not the only one who makes great television shows and movies. I am currently in Costa Rica, hence the beautiful background that I've got here of a hotel room. And we are filming Bachelor in Paradise.
No, so Costa Rica is paradise. Do you guys always film in Costa Rica?
No, it used to be Mexico, and then this year we changed over to Costa Rica. And let me tell you, it's very hot, sweating so much. Normally I wear like my uniform on Bachelor in Paradise. I play the bartender / therapist / like kind of like quasi-host when they need me to. I wear like a red shirt or a black shirt, which hides pit stains very well, Chad. But they've got me in a new uniform this year, and it's white, this is going to be a season of pit stains. So the wardrobe people have they're effectively maxi pads in my armpits to absorb all the sweat that's coming down my body.
Oh my God.
It's a heavy flow day every day. It's not working, by the way. But we are having fun. And I had a day off yesterday, Chad, and I think that you would appreciate that I did, in fact, go play golf.
What's the golf situation down there in Costa Rica?
There's not a lot of golf courses. I got to be honest with you. I had to drive an hour and a half. I played this course called Hacienda Pilar. It was nice. If you've ever played golf in Mexico or like kind of like islandy, beachy towns, like it's beautiful. You're in jungles, you're in the water, but then like also it's patchy grass everywhere. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, the tropical golf is tough. I mean, this is a game that was invented in Scotland, you know, where it's cold and rainy. I feel like the grass, it's hard to get good greens down there in the tropics. Definitely gets patchy. You got, a lot of wildlife you might have to deal with.
Yeah.
Snakes, probably, I don't know.
Well, I played well. That's all that really matters.
Very good. Did you play with anybody?
I played with a production guy from like the crew, and we played for some money. I drank probably 15 beers. Never got drunk. Not even close to getting drunk. I'm just sweating out all that beautiful, beautiful beer. But anyways, we're having fun down here. But I do miss being in the studio with you.
I know. Well, you're on the road for a while. I looked at your schedule.
Yeah.
It said 67 days gone.
Yeah.
it's like an update. We have this shared calendar, and it's like Wells out of town. It's like day 34 of 67. I'm like, that is a long time to be away. But we will be back in the studio. We'll be bringing you, dear listeners, a handful of these remotely recorded episodes. We've got some great guests coming up in the hopper. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then when we're back in LA together, we'll be bringing the heat because we got some big names coming by later this summer that we're excited for you guys to hear about. So I also played a little golf last week. If you don't know, last week was the Crater Classic.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia. So Philadelphia has a bunch of great golf courses. And, I did my part to try to set up a little golf, for the mornings before we had to be out there, running around the PGA Tour event and at the Crater Classic. And I was really excited to play Marion on Tuesday, but then we got rained out. And apparently Marion's the kind of place where it rained really hard overnight. And I woke up, everything was sunny, it was beautiful. And apparently they will shut it down if it gets too wet because they don't want to, they want to keep it pristine. So I was bummed to miss out on Marion. Tuesday night, did a little bit of finagling and a couple of, kind of Hail Mary text messages. And at 10 o'clock, I got confirmed and introduced to this amazing guy named Jeff. He was like, I'd love to have you at Marion. So we played on Wednesday. It was fantastic. So I got Marion Wednesday, played really well. Shot 2 over par, 3 over,
Wow.
73. It's awesome. Didn't make any birdies, but that course is so cool. The history. We played super fast. You'd love it. We were like one of the first groups out. This guy like gets on the tee. Again, I love this about golf. You just meet somebody randomly. You know, it's like your best friends out of the gate. And he's like, hey, I like to play fast. Is that cool with you? I was like, sure. And he's like, all right, we're just going off then. No warm-ups. Like right off the first tee. He's literally like walking after it as soon as my club makes contact with the ball. We played 18 holes walking in like just under 3 hours. It was amazing. It was like 2 hours and 48 minutes, 18 holes. Breezed around there. And then, had a nice lunch, and then we were off to the Crater Classic. And then
hold on. Tell me about Marion's clubhouse, because there's a big part of golf that I feel like we don't talk about a lot, but like the cool factor of said clubhouse is, I assume Marion's is really, really cool.
It's as old school and classic as they come. They're getting they have the U.S. Amateur, I think, next year, and then they're now a part of this USGA U.S. Open Rota. So they're going to get a U.S. Open every 10 years. The next one is 2030, then 2040, 2050. And so they're redoing the clubhouse right now. It's more like infrastructure stuff. They're not like rebuilding it or knocking it down. So there was some construction going on, but it was still, you could feel the history. But what was really cool, they have a staff archivist. It's this guy. And so my host was taking me on a tour of the clubhouse after we played. And so we go up to this little room, and it's like a library kind of thing. And there's a dude in there with like 5 guys sitting around. He's kind of giving like an archival tour. So we sort of popped in and said hello. But they've got everything from like, they've got Ben Hogan's irons that he used to win the U.S. Open. They've got that one, everything like throughout the history of the course, which has so many history. I mean, this is where Bobby Jones won the Grand Slam in I'm going to get it wrong, but I want to say 30 something. And so there's some amazing pictures that were taken by a biplane who was doing like mapping of the area, nothing to do with the course, happened to get a photograph of the golf course, because I'm sure he's like, what are all those people doing out there? And it's Bobby Jones with his arms in the air and all the people cheering. And they happen to get an aerial photograph of the Grand Slam winning putt from the air, which apparently wasn't discovered by the club until like 15 years ago. The pilot's like family had it, and it was passed down and whatever. And then they just notified the club and they said, hey, you might be interested in these photos. It's like one of the most famous golf photos ever was when he won the Grand Slam. It was like the front page of every newspaper, and it was from the ground. And they had no idea that there was actually an aerial version of that photo. So it was such a cool clubhouse. The other funny part is the guy who was the archivist has a patch. He's got one eye. And he got long hair. He kind of looks like a pirate. But he's amazing. And he's just like in there. He maybe signed the guest book. It's like this massive guest book. He's like, all right, you can come in as long as you sign the book. Mm-hmm. And then we walked into another room, kind of the Bobby Jones room, where they have all the names on the wall of like their club champions. And he's like, hey, you see that name? It's the freaking archivist. Apparently, he's like a 20-time club champion at Marion, and he won the junior club championship in the 60s. He won the regular club championship a handful of times in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
With no depth perception.
Well, I don't know when the eye, it was unclear about when he lost the eye.
Okay.
And then he won the senior club championship a handful of times. So this guy is absolute stick. It was nice to see my friend John Sawin up there on the club championship board. He's the director of golf, I believe, at Pebble Beach. Just an A+ human being who's like you. He's handsome, plays really well, and now he's like runs golf at Pebble Beach. And you're like, man, everybody,
that's the life.
Genetic lottery. And then no idea, but he's like multi-time club champion at Marion as well. So it was great. The guy who was the host has this. He was really involved. So he's like, hey, have you ever read that book, The Match? I'm like, I love The Match. One of my favorite.
We need to do an episode about The Match, by the way.
We really should. So we should talk to this guy because he's in the book. The guy who hosted.
Really?
Yeah, he was really good friends with Harvey Ward, who was who was Ken Venturi's partner. Mm-hmm. And so I guess when Harvey passed away, this guy Jeff was sort of the executor of his estate. Mm-hmm. And so he has all this old memorabilia from that era, but he's really good friends with Mark Frost, who's the screenwriter and then the author who wrote The Match. And he was telling me that they've been trying to make a movie. So we might have to get yours truly involved in helping to make that happen.
Dude, I suggested this in like one of the first episodes that they need to make The Match into a movie, but I said I don't know if Cypress would want people traipsing around there, filming stuff.
You know what? I had a conversation with an iconic broadcaster who's very famous for many of his electric golf calls.
Yeah.
Who happens to have a house out there in Monterey, and he is aware of this, and apparently the club is too, and they're somewhat supportive. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, can I be in it? Could you produce it, and then please put me in it?
What would
or just
you,
or let me be a grip or something. I don't care.
Be a grip. Okay.
Yeah. I just want to be a part of it.
So one of the interesting things about these East Coast clubs, getting back to Marion for a second. So, one, I learned a new gambling game or a new variation on Hammer, which is pretty exciting. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. But the other thing is apparently it's golf. So everybody's gambling all the time. I'm kind of burying the lead here because after Marion, I went out to another sort of Philly adjacent course, spent the night at Pine Valley, and then played Pine Valley in the morning.
Gross.
It was crispy and awesome. And we were wagering, as you do. But I was told before we teed off that don't talk about the actual like dollars when you're playing at these iconical courses. It's like units. So there was no discussion on the course of like it's $100 hammer. Now the hole's $250. It was like that's 4 units, 8 units, 12 units, whatever.
So what's a unit?
Well, we were playing for $50 a unit, so it was, it got up
so
there.
you discern what the unit is before you go out there.
I guess you don't want, they don't want people talking about the dollars flying around. It's like
I got it. Yeah.
Places. But on that note, so we played. I played with Matt Kendrick, who's the CEO of Good Golf. He's a great player, and then one of their agents, and then another guy from the golf industry.
Which, by the way, I ran into him at St. Andrews.
He said that.
Ago.
Yeah, it's like look at Wells. But we were going to play our standard kind of, hammer game. And the guy who was hosting us had a variation on it, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I wanted to kind of get your take on this. So it's called a beaver. So if you hammer.
Love a beaver.
So then you can beaver. And so what that does is double the bet again, but then you retain the hammer. So basically the situation would be like, I'm hammering you. If you feel like that's a loose hammer, like you have a chance to come back, you can accept the hammer and then beaver it, which doubles the bet again.
Whoa.
But then you still control the hammer. So then you can hammer back again to double it. So it's like it's a way to kind of incentivize, I think, a little more caution around throwing hammers. But we were getting beavered all day because, Kendrick and I were going for it. And there were beavers just getting thrown left and right, taking it up a notch. So anyway, so I was excited about the new variation on hammer. And we'll have to give it a try next time we play golf, which will be 67 days from now apparently.
Okay. I like there's a countdown for when I actually come back to Los Angeles.
There is.
Well, I'm super pumped about today's episode because you were just out in Philly for the Creator Classic, and our guest this week is someone who actually got to play in the Creator Classic, right?
Oh yeah.
The insanely talented, absolutely massive following on social media, and one of the first kind of creators in the golf space, like a pioneer of sorts. Welcoming into the show, it's the insanely talented golfer in Paige Spiranac. How are you, Paige?
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
I met you, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years ago at the AT&T. I don't even know if you still have a podcast, but I think I was one of the first guests you had on your podcast. And your podcast, it had like a funny name. It had like a sexual innuendo, right?
Playing around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it for a couple years and then just decided to take a little hiatus, but might bring it back. You never know.
You've been doing this kind of like influencer golf creator thing for a really long time. Like, I feel like you were one of the first people to do this. What is your thought on like the current state of like golf creators? Because it is booming right now, and you must be like kind of like the hipster, like, well, I was here before it was cool.
It's really interesting. So I started doing this about 10 years ago now. I had just finished playing golf at San Diego State University and really didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to try to play professionally, but it is financially challenging, mentally draining. It's a really tough road. And so I randomly went viral one day, and I went from having 500 followers to 100,000 followers overnight. And there was no such thing as a golf influencer at that time. There was no one else really doing it. I would say No Laying Up just kind of started their podcast. Rick Shields was maybe like a year into doing YouTube, and then you had the Bryan brothers doing trick shots, but there was really no industry and there was really no one making a living off of doing this. It was something that we just all kind of loved to do. And I remember one of my first partners, Callaway, they reached out and they're like, hey, like, we'll give you some money if you, do some, posting for us. And I was like, great. Like, I can't afford tees, golf balls, like a place to practice. And so that's really how it started for me, and just a way to finance my golf career. And for that to now turn into what it is today has been amazing to watch. I think there was part of me at one time that was, like, hey, I did this first. And, you have such an easy route now, because when we started doing this, I mean, there were just kind of like these OGs. You weren't respected in the golf industry. I had so much hate for what I was doing because it was so different. And part of me is like, this is what I've worked so hard for, was to see this industry progress into what it is today. But then there's also part of me like, you guys have it so easy, and you have no idea how hard it truly was to get to where, we are today in the golf industry. Because as we know, golf is just so conservative and stuffy that any type of change is just really difficult for people to accept. And it really has taken a full 10 years to get to this point. And it is great now to see so many people have all these amazing opportunities, especially all these women in golf who now can, make a living for themselves.
Yeah, you walked so all these young kids could run, I guess, right?
And now I'm having hip problems and they're thriving, and I'm like, man, I'm on the out. But no, it is really cool to see. And again, it's like, this is what we work so hard for now all of these people to have these opportunities, and it's exciting, and to be a part of it from the very beginning and to pave this way for so many. I'm really humbled and honored to have, worked so hard and to taken all of those hits to for everyone else to have these opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine just how nasty the comments must be, especially when you started, because again, golf was so conservative. I mean, it has changed so much since, in the last really 10 years, 5-10 years, and you see like golf's got this pop culture relevance now, and I feel like you are a huge part of it. I mean, you're one of the you are by far the most followed golfer, by the way, so we're just putting that out there, like by far.
Like over Tiger Woods, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think 100% yes. But also you've made golf much more accessible. And somehow maintained your amazing ability to play golf, which I know how much work it is doing this creator stuff, and it always blows me away at how well you strike the ball. I was just watching you hit the other day, on the range at Philly Cricket Club, and so I always wonder, like, how much time do you spend practicing relative to like creating content, and does it feel like wasted opportunity sometimes if you're out there just grinding on the range? You're like, should I also be making content about this? How do you, like, what is a week of a the most famous golf influencer in the world? What's like a week in your life look like?
It's really interesting because there's been ebbs and flows in my career and also with my relationship to the game of golf. And so at the core of what I do is this passion for the game, and I love it so deeply. And so when I first started doing this, like I said, it was so I could play golf professionally, and I wanted to play golf at the highest level. And so for about the first 2 years, I was doing golf first and then social media second. And then when I realized that I just couldn't handle the pressure of playing golf professionally, then I leaned in and it was all content, because I had no joy in playing golf anymore. I was burnt out. I was really frustrated with kind of where I was, because I always felt like I had the talent to make it, but mentally I couldn't handle the pressure. And so I didn't want to play golf. I didn't want to practice. And so I just really, turned to making content. And that was just something that I really loved doing. And so I did that for years. And then I would say in the last couple years, I have had this spark again of playing. And oftentimes I go out and I don't touch my phone. I put my headphones in and I grind, and I really do love practicing, and I love the game. And it's really interesting because my game lately has been, great. I played awesome at, USGA Media Day at Oakmont, and then was put in some very interesting spots at the Creator Classic, but got out of those pretty good. And now I almost have to feel like I have to find my passion again in creating content, because the media industry has shifted, has changed so much. And so when I first started doing this, it was really authentic and it was really organic, and I felt like you could just kind of share something, and I wasn't thinking about the algorithm or likes or views or really anything. And now it's been all about rage bait and clickbait and doing outrageous things, and it's almost like I have to find my path again within the media industry. And so I'm trying to kind of blend both. And it's really interesting how it's like gone up and down. But right now I almost prefer playing over creating content. And years ago, it was always creating content first and then playing second.
Let's talk about the state of your game right now. I tried to look you up on the Gin app, and I couldn't find you. Not sure if I know like what state you live in. And I felt really creepy typing in, where does Paige Spiranac live? Do you carry a handicap, or are you just like, I'm probably around, I don't know, a +3 or something like that?
I do now. So
Okay.
I started keeping it, I think about 2 years ago now, because when you're in college and then when you're playing professionally, you don't really keep a handicap, or at least I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went years without keeping a handicap. And then I
Well,
started
hold on.
to play.
When you're, because like if we play in like our club championship, like the club will post that for us. So when you're in college, do they post that stuff for you, or when you're pro, do they post that stuff for you? No.
No, you don't. And
Interesting.
for like certain events, you do have to post.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you were trying to do a US Open qualifier, then you would keep a handicap. But I just, again, when you're pro, it's like I didn't really keep it because I wasn't going to play any of these, like, obviously you can't play amateur events, and I wasn't playing member guests or anything like that, or even really money games. And so the last couple years, I was like, I need a handicap because I'm playing more money matches, and like I potentially am exploring getting my amateur status back so I can play some more amateur events. And so I do have one, and I am currently +4. So
I'll believe it.
Game is still there. Like I said, it ebbs and flows. But yeah, I mean, I'm playing better now than when I was playing golf professionally. I've made some really great swing changes, and it's funny because every time I play with someone, they're always so surprised that I actually am decent at golf. Because the whole narrative around my career has been I wasn't good enough to make it, and then that has snowballed into she can't break 90. And so like I'll go out even with creators who I meet for the first time, and they're like, you're actually like good at golf. Like you should give pro golf a shot. And I'm like, no, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
I always feel like it's, growing up playing golf, it is, I don't know, it's still a very male dominated sport. So putting aside that you're a creator and again, the most followed golfer in the world, I think, sometimes just men are surprised that women can like hit the shit out of the ball. And when you play, if you're a guy who's played a lot of golf but has never really played with like an elite level female golfer, it is kind of, I think, can be surprising to people just how well these women can play and that you can play. And I still remember the first time I played with like a great, really, really talented sort of college level D1 female golfer, and it was extremely humbling, as it is when you play with any great golfer. But just really fun to watch because it's like yeah, I don't know. It's just a different way around a golf course, and I remember just like being blown away by like how amazing she was at like from like 200 yards and in. I mean, hitting like woods when I was trying to bash like like an 8-iron or something, and it was like 10 feet every time. It was unbelievable. So I feel like you got the double whammy of expectations, and when you show up and just knock it out there like 300 yards, people are like, wow, So, but also, you, I think, absolutely have a career as a broadcaster because we had you on at the Creator Classic, the one we did at Sawgrass. We had you out there walking, and I think, was that your first time doing that?
Very first time. I had I've never done anything like that before, And
That's not true. You and I called like the first 20 minutes of some major together on YouTube. Do you remember that?
what tournament was that? That was
I think
like
it was the U.S. Open.
6 years ago or
Yeah.
something. That was a long time. Okay, yeah. So besides that amazing experience that we had, very first experience, I had never worn a headset. Like I've never gone through the steps, and we had no practice, and so we basically just suited up, and then it was first tee. I didn't expect how many voices I would be hearing in my ear. And for the first 3 or 4 holes, it was nothing. We couldn't hear anything. I had my producer with me. We're looking at each other and we're like, I can't hear anything anyone is saying. I don't know what's going on. I was full blown panicking for the first couple holes. And then you work your way into it and you get more comfortable. And it was awesome. I'd love to do more on course. But yeah, the first couple holes were really, really rough. I was like trying to guess when I should come in and what I should say or what I should do because it was like muffled and robot like voices. No idea. I was so panicked.
Well, I got to say, you did an amazing job, and I actually got I think it was either a phone call or a text message from the head of golf for CBS, who was watching and just said, "Paige is awesome at this." So, you definitely have a future, and this guy's got, he doesn't compliment everybody, so I went out of his way to just say how great you were, out there on the mic on the broadcast. So I thought that was a nice compliment, but
That's
definitely well
amazing.
deserved.
I will say though, it was easier because I had Trent Ryan from Foreplay, who was the most electric golfer that day on Sawgrass, and it was easy to comment on all the amazing things he was doing.
Absolutely. That was what a day.
What's pie in the sky like greatest gig you could get? Like what would you love? Like, would you want to be like the next Dottie Pepper and walking around on like every at majors, or do you want to keep doing what you're doing? Like, what do you want to do?
It's so hard because if you asked me this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even 2 years ago, I would never know. And I feel like that's the great thing about being in the media industry is that your life could take a complete turn and you don't even expect it, you even know what you were looking for. And I've been so lucky to receive so many amazing opportunities that I never thought I would have. I would say, and I don't know if this will ever happen, but I really do care about the growth of the game. I know people always say, oh, growing the game, but that's something that I do really care about. I didn't have a lot of opportunities growing up, and I've always wanted to open my own golf course. That's something that I've really wanted to do. I just feel like there's not enough great practice facilities for young kids or even people getting into the game for the first time to be able to practice and learn the game before they get on the golf course. It's something I've always been really passionate about. And I've also wanted to be a commissioner of a tour. I just feel like that would be so much fun. And I feel like I have so many ideas and obviously branding expertise and marketing that I feel like I can really bring a new light to a league of whatever kind. And I feel like that's something that I would love to do. I don't know if that will ever happen with my career path, but I think that would be amazing. And obviously any type of on-course new broadcast opportunities, but I'm really open to any new avenues that really come my way. And, I feel like I'm kind of cycling out of the content that I used to create and moving into kind of a new period of my life, and I am really open to trying all these new things to see kind of what the next steps in the next 10, 20 years of my life look like.
So, okay, I don't want to put you on the spot, but the PGA Tour is looking for a new CEO right now. So we'll have to put in the good word for you. But as pretend this is your job interview to be commissioner of the PGA Tour, Commissioner Paige. What would your first move be? What would your big goals be for your commissionership? Let's start with the PGA Tour, because I feel like asking about the LPGA Tour is like too on the nose, because I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts. So you're all of a sudden commissioner of the PGA Tour. What's the first move?
Well, I'm coming at this from a branding perspective, and I think that the misconceptions about the tour right now, it's all about money, 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 and the tour just seems, golf in general just seems completely out of touch, and it doesn't look accessible for people of different demographics, different social economic backgrounds. And so we need to erase all of that. And by doing that is by highlighting the personalities, which I think Full Swing has done a really great job, but there are already so many stories out there that need to be told. And especially the rookies. We're always looking for the next Tiger, who's going to be that next person. They could be out there, but we're not telling those stories. And so I think there needs to be more engagement on social media. I think that that should be mandatory for players to participate in posting across all platforms. I also think that there needs to be more investment into media, which I know that they are doing, and I think that's great. But you need to tell these stories. You need to connect with people on a deeper level, and that's how you're going to get people to show up. Golf is at a disadvantage because it's not teams. And also, it's not teams in a hometown that you grew up. And with other sports, for example, I am a Steelers fan. And we haven't had the best couple years, but I will always be a diehard Steelers fan because my parents are from Pittsburgh. And no matter what, good or bad, I will show up. I would go to games. I want to see them compete. But with golf, you don't have that connection. And so you have to put way more effort into trying to connect with people. I think more team events, I think more mixed team events, I think anything that is different and out of the box would be great for the tour to try to lean into more.
Yeah, love that. All right, well, you got the job in my book.
Yeah, you're hired. But I think
and shorts. They should be able to wear shorts if they want to wear shorts. I think that is like the dumbest rule. Like they're playing in like 90 plus degree weather with 100% humidity. If they want to wear shorts, they should have the option to wear shorts. I think that being more lax on the dress code would actually be a huge advantage for the growth of the game. And I know a lot of people want to stick to being traditional and sticking to the values of the game. But look at Jason Day, who is wearing things that are different and unique, and how much media attention he is getting. I think allowing the players to show more of their personality and expressing themselves through their fashion and style will bring more people into the game.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you're speaking Wells' language because he's down in Costa Rica sweating through his bartender uniform.
I was telling Chad they are now attaching maxi pads to my armpits. No joke, like to the shirts, because it's starting to show on TV, and the director's like, Wells is sweating too much. This is not good. So Malbon, get on it. Let's get some let's get some maxi pads in the shirts, please.
Shoulder pads, we'll do the underpads.
Yeah.
You need to trademark that. That's a brilliant idea.
I know. You know, you do so much, and you are so talented across the board, but you do have like this like amazing modeling career. Like, you know, when you Google Paige Spiranac, like it says like golfer and model. And one of my favorite stories is I think the last time I messaged you was in our locker room, like at our club, was your calendar. And it was like, like on like someone's like locker, and I took a picture of it, and I was like, I feel like you've made it. Like you are in the locker room here. Is that a weird thing for you, or is that like? I mean, that's kind of the point, I guess.
No, I think it was awesome. Hopefully, they have the 2025 calendar up now. No, you know. At a certain point, I just decided that I was going to lean into my brand and I was going to do what makes me happy. And that is a bunch of different things that I have tried in my career. One is writing a children's book. It's doing media work. Another one is modeling. I feel very confident when I am sexy, and I like to show that side of myself. I feel that a woman can do and be whoever they want. It shouldn't determine based off of what they're wearing. And so, yeah, modeling is so much fun. You get to like look great and try different outfits on and be different personas for a day. And yeah, I mean, I think for years I tried to shy away from that. I mean, I did, Sports Illustrated swimsuit and Maxim and all of these things. And I felt like people were always trying to bring me down for it. And I'm like, those were awesome. When I'm older, I'm going to look back on that and those calendars and be like, that was such a fun point in my life. And I worked so hard for my body, and I was choking down Greek yogurt and trying to get my protein in. Like, you work really, really hard for it. And I'm proud of that. And I like to show it off. So no, I think it's great. I love it.
Good for you. I mean,
the new calendar is now up in the locker room.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's Grady's locker. Not to call someone
It's
out,
definitely
but
Grady's locker. Call out Grady.
good.
I'll sign it. I'll sign the 2026 one.
Yes, that's
Oh
what we
well,
need.
Grady he'll love that. So
Mhm.
definitely, we'll take you up on that.
But I will say this, like, good for you for owning it, because I know maybe not so much now, but in the beginning of your career, you got like so much vile hate. Like, you got obviously a lot of praise from a lot of people, but then I also felt like you got from on both sides. Was it hard to kind of navigate through that? Like, was there a time in which you were like, I don't know if it's worth, like, the juice is worth the squeeze at this point? Like, I'm just getting so many, like, just vile texts and vile messages and vile DMs.
100%. I
Yeah.
think what was really hard is that I've always felt that I was advocating for people to be themselves
Mhm.
and to express themselves in the way that they want to. And for me, that was very pro women. Like, you can be who you want to be, you can do what you want to do. And so I think the hardest part was when a majority of the hate that I was getting was from other women, especially within my industry. And I felt like I was doing something that was good, and I was like pushing through boundaries, and I was doing all of these things, and my intention behind it was so pure, and I felt that I wasn't doing it from, an icky standpoint. I felt very empowered by what I was doing, and so I thought other women might be empowered by this as well. And clearly that wasn't, the case. And I just realized again that I want to do what I'm going to do. The people who get it, and the people who don't. And I think for the first couple of years of my career, I was afraid to really lean in. I was also really young, and I didn't know who I was or what I wanted my brand to be, and I was really figuring this out on the fly. And so I think that some of the criticism that I was getting was because that I looked wishy-washy, that I would kind of lean in here and say, oh, I want to be, sexy or do this, and then I'd be, no, I'm a golfer, I'm a serious golfer. And so it just looked like I just didn't really know what I was doing, or as if I was playing the victim. But I was just 23 years old and trying to like navigate this really crazy world. And so I woke up one day years ago and I said, I'm going to get hate no matter what. So I might as well lean in and have fun with it. And my whole social media persona has almost been a parody of who people think I am. And so it's really over the top. It's, uber sexy at times, really cheeky and fun. And I think once I started doing that, people understood, oh, like, she's in on the joke. She really gets it. I'm very self-aware, but I also don't shy away from knowing the game of golf and giving really good golf instruction. And at the core of what I do, again, is that passion that I have for the game of golf, and also trying to provide something valuable while also having fun with it. And I think people on social media just take themselves way too seriously. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be over the top. And that's really what I've decided to do. And so now when people give me hate, they don't know me. They're judging off of this character that I've almost created. And I am very confident if anyone could spend 5 minutes with me, they would get it. But I can't do that with every single person. And some people just won't like you, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, who you are. And that's also okay. Like, you're allowed to have a difference of opinion. And I think that's something that I've also accepted, that even though I feel very strongly with what I'm doing and I feel that it's the right thing and it's empowering, other people just have a difference of opinion, and that's fine. That is totally okay. And if I'm not hurting anyone and they're not hurting anyone, we can be civil with each other. And I think, again, there's not enough of that on social media. It's always like my way or the highway, and just having acceptance of the fact that it's like, not everyone will like you, and that's okay. And not everyone's going to like your content, and that's okay. So
yeah, it's a little bit of, well, two things can be true at the same time. You can be attractive and also talented. And it's also a little bit of a double standard, because if you're telling me that you don't think that Arnold Palmer back in the 70s wasn't a sex symbol and also an amazing golfer, you're crazy, Like, what are you talking about? I do want to talk about, though, like, your golf, because I've seen you play golf. You were very, very talented. But like you say, like, I'm sure when you show up at a golf course and you're playing with a bunch of people, they might write you off, or they might think it's a bit like, do you hustle people? Because I imagine you can hustle people so easily.
You know what? I used to be able to until I started keeping a handicap.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, let's play for money. And they're like, okay, what are the shots? Open up your, the gin. And I'm like, I'm a +4. And then I have to
Yeah.
do 20 shots. And I'm like, okay, this is not working in the way that I had planned it out. Again, it's great because like when people play golf with me for the first time, they don't expect me to be good. And so even if I have a bad round of golf, they're still blown away. And so like you get the confidence, but no, I can't hustle people like I used to. I wish I could, but it's just the handicap system's really screwed me over here.
I know it's a shame that it works the way that it does. What's
I know.
so we spent a lot of time on this podcast talking about gambling and games and playing with other people. What's your go-to like betting game on the course? If we were just out gonna go play golf, we're gonna wager a little bit. You don't have to say the numbers, but what's your favorite game to play?
I'm pretty boring. Front 9, back 9 total. And then Snake is really fun. I don't know if you guys have played Snake before.
We haven't talked about Snake, and I'm so glad you brought this up because it is one of my favorite games. So tell everyone about Snake.
I've never even heard of Snake, and I feel like I know all these games. So please enlighten me.
Okay, so I've only played a couple times, so Wells, keep me honest here.
Okay.
So it is all about 3 putts.
Yeah.
And so every time that someone 3 putts, you keep adding the amount on toward the back, right? So it's like that person then owes the amount of whoever 3 putted. So every time someone else 3 putts, they then take the total and then it keeps going. So the last person to 3 putt then has the entire total and has to pay everyone out.
Oh, so it's like the Snake game, like the old cell phone game where it
Yeah.
gets longer every single time. You just keep adding.
Is that right? 'Cause that's how I played
Yes.
it. Well, I don't know, because I know a lot of people do it a little differently, but that's how I remember it.
Yeah, no, the way that I was taught was, okay, look, we're going to play Snake, and it'll be like $5 increments or whatever. And then, so like, let's say I 3-putt the second hole, then I have the Snake. And then any time, so after that, if Chad, you have like a long second putt, then everyone starts going and like getting in your head like while you're over it. And then if you take it, then it either doubles or goes up by 5. And then what's really messed up is that like you can have the Snake on 18 and people will be like, I don't want the Snake, so they'll like intentionally miss the 18th green so they can chip and then 2-putt and not have to take the Snake. There's some mind games to it.
I feel like there's got to be some way to like earn, how to dump it or something. Like you got to, you reject the Snake if you 1-putt, but you got to call it or something. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some way to get rid of it. I mean, we were talking when we had Sean on, Malto on with the pro skateboarder. We were talking about Polies, which is a game they play a lot at like Bel Air, and that one at least is you can switch it in the other direction if you 1-putt. But maybe we'll have to go all play around and
the problem is, Paige, is that Chad is too good of a putter. Like I don't know if I've ever seen him 3-putt. So this game is not. This is a great game for people who are, like average golfers.
I also very rarely 1-putt, so I feel like it all it all works out comes out in the wash. But my favorite game is Hammer, and I like being able to up the bet, or it kind of keeps you focused on the betting game as opposed to just like a Nassau like you were talking about, which I used to play a ton of Nassaus, but then I get introduced to this hole by hole, like get in someone's head, throw a hammer, opportunistic, all that stuff. But when you joined the podcast, we were talking about this variation, which is called a beaver, which I don't know why it's called that, but it's basically a way you get hammered, you can beaver it, which doubles the bet, but you retain the hammer. So we played that last week, and it gets out of hand very quickly. But
I'm sure I've heard about it. So this is how I do it. So someone picks me as a partner. Out of sight, out of mind. They pick the games, they pick the total, and then I just play because I don't like to know what's going on. So all of the stuff is going back and forth, and then luckily I have a pretty good track record of winning. But I learned the hard way because I used to not carry cash in my bag because I won every single money match, and I was like, why carry cash when like you don't need to pay anyone back? And I was playing a match against Colt Nost, and he smoked me, absolutely smoked me, and I had no cash to pay, and I was like, I'll pay it another way. Like we'll go out and I'll buy you drinks or something. Never paid up that bet. But I learned the hard way. So now I always carry cash in my bag, and I just let everyone else decide the games, and I just try to shoot as low as I possibly can.
I feel like there are two types of golfers. There's the golfer who like has the scorecard meticulously like typed out and like everything is perfect, and then there's a golfer that's Chad, and then I'm like you where I'm like, just tell me what I owe at the end. I don't want to focus on that. It's gonna stress me out.
I don't even write my score down. Like,
Yeah.
I think this is PTSD from competitive golf days, but like it took me forever to be able to write my score down on a scorecard because I just couldn't see it. And that's why I just tell people that all the time. I'm like, don't talk to me about what I'm shooting. Like, don't tell me what the number is. Don't tell me what the money is. Like, I will play my heart out, but like, don't talk to me about it. And that's just how it is. But there are people who can, like, especially when they're betting, they can't play for fun. And as soon as there's money on the line, they can turn it up. And I'm like, I'm the opposite of that. I'm like, I turn it way down, so don't even tell me.
Oh, I remember when I first met you, we were at Pebble for the AT&T, and you had played Cypress, and I asked like what you had shot, and you were like, oh, I shot like 3 under, and I'm like, what? Jesus, like I've never broken 80 at Cypress. But you told me this thing of you were like, listen, I like to play golf like really stress free. Like I'm not trying to. I'm not playing for the U.S. Open here, and so like if I've got a putt within 3 feet, like it's good for me. And I remember thinking, oh, that's an interesting like way of like you're always just going to enjoy your day. And I want to know if you still do that because I think it would be hard if people who are playing for money. They're going to be like, I want to see you make that putt.
Yeah, so since I started keeping my handicap, I now have to putt everything out because that's how it was. Like, I would grind over 3-4 footers in competition. And I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm also a really good short putter. I very rarely miss it, even from like 5-6 feet. That's really my bread and butter of my game. And I'm like, I just don't want to put myself through that. Now I do have to, but I have found out if you just flash a nice little smile most times in a money game, they won't make you putt the 3-footer. Or a good always works really well too, because you know what? They also don't want to have to putt. And so that's kind of been my strategy where I'm like, good, like you got that. And then it gets down to the wire and they haven't hit a 3-footer all day. And I'm like, no, you got to putt that one.
Ooh, I love that. Gamesmanship. It's amazing. Well, speaking of games, and I love that you brought up your friend and mine, Colt Nost, who is an absolute gamer. And we will absolutely be talking about this unpaid bet that you guys have not settled up yet when we have Colt on the show or next time I see him, which will be in about, 12 hours because I'm headed to Charlotte and they're doing.
How much do you owe him, by the way?
I think it was a home cooked meal at a night on the town.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, that's nice. All right. This is the Vanity Index podcast. So we always, we like to talk about the intersection of golf and Hollywood. Who, besides Colt Nost, you can't say Colt, but who's the most famous person you've ever played golf with?
Ooh. Probably, if we're not talking about pro golfers, I was in a foursome with Mark Wahlberg and Justin Timberlake and Gary Player. So that one was pretty sick. And then I played in, at Genesis, they did the Celebrity Ryder Cup. And my partner was Nick Jonas. And we played against, who did we even play against? I'm like blanking on his name. He's in all the like Marvel movies. Chris
Pratt.
Pratt.
Yes, Chris Pratt. He was very slow. Might be the slowest golfer I've ever played with.
Oh my God, Pratt. I love it. All right.
But anyway, super nice guy. Unbelievably slow. And we were like 4 holes behind on a 9-hole like little thing. And they were like, you need to speed it up. And he had all these people around him and he'd tell like these amazing stories. And we're like, hit the golf ball. Hit it. But no, I mean, I've been lucky enough to play with a lot of like amazing people. I would probably say that foursome with Gary Player, Justin Timberlake, and Mark Wahlberg was number one.
I mean, I would say if there was ever like a group where, you would imagine a bunch of banter. Did Gary let anybody else talk the entire round? Because Gary is a legend. By the way, he must have absolutely loved you.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
I've played with him so many times now. It's so funny. I played in this event and I made a hole-in-one in front of Gary Player. And that was like a good, like 30-second hug that he he held on tight. He's awesome, though. I mean,
Yeah.
he's he's giving me like bunker lessons, but he's also really honest. And so he's a really interesting person to play golf with because he's not someone who's just going to like boost you up. He's going to be like, no, you need to do more crunches and you can't have a two-way miss. You know, he's all about like fitness and, you know, longevity. And I played in a pro-am with him, and this was when I was still playing golf professionally. I had a nasty two-way miss. And just very, like, jovially just down the fairway, he was like, you'll never make it with a two-way miss. And I just kept, like, I turned to my caddy and I had, like, tears in my eyes. And I was like, I know, Gary Player just told the truth. But he's great like that. And then Mark Wahlberg had, like, he was taking, like, calls on the round. It was, like, in this tournament that we were doing. And he was, like, talking about, you know, his next business venture and then about to, like, stuff a 7-iron. And I'm like, that is why he is who he is. Like, his work ethic is insane. And then my partner was Justin Timberlake, and he's just, like, the coolest person ever. Great hands. Like, he hits a really good flop shot.
Yeah, JT's got game. He's really got game. We're trying to assess, like, who is the best celebrity golfer. Like, that's been kind of and you know, there are tiers of celebrity. I think we've had two really good ones on the show. We had Charlie Day from Always Sunny on a couple weeks ago, and he's a way better. I don't know if you've ever played with Charlie, but he's a legit player, and most people don't even know he plays golf. And it's like during the writer strike, he shot in the 60s a handful of times. Like, the guy's got a game. Then we had Sean Malto, pro skateboarder, who's a 2, but is probably more like a +2, if being honest. There, Wells, you know. No Vanity Index for Sean Malto, but who do you think's the best celebrity golfer? Who is the best game?
I mean, it's hard because you have the athletes, which there are a lot of really good. You have like Marty Fish, and you have Steph Curry and Tony Romo, and they're almost kind of like a league of their own. I think back to like the celebrity. There's like the celebrity golf tour that like goes around to every pro-am, and they're always kind of like the top ones. And then going down from that, I would say Justin Timberlake's probably one of the better like entertainers who plays golf. He's really good. Oh, Jake Owen. He's a stick. Those are the two that are kind of popping out. And then there's like kind of a big fall off. After that, there's like a crew that's like really, really good. And then it falls to like the 10 to 15 handicaps.
How was Nick Jonas's game? He's a grinder. I've played with him before, and he takes it very seriously. So I played with him twice. I played with him at the ACC in Tahoe, and then at that event with Tiger. He was really nervous for the event with Tiger, and I think that was like his first time playing golf in front of people. And then at the ACC, he was like much more relaxed. He has a really good game. His issue is that he like will hit a bad shot and then start to get a little frustrated. But if he could just keep it kind of cool and collected, he would be really, really solid. Because his game, like, overall is really good. He'll just have kind of like one big blow-up hole from what I've seen. Yeah, when the first time I ever played with him was one of these like random LA days, kind of only happens in LA, but we ended up in this like 7-some. Well, actually, it started out, I was hosting Blake Griffin, who was joining our club, and so we were playing with Blake, and I'm sure you've met Blake before. He's like hilarious and awesome as you would imagine he is. And he had just started golfing. He had been playing for like a year. And again, these athletes, to your point, I mean, they've got amazing hand-eye coordination. And he had like just never picked up a golf club before. And within a year, I mean, he was swinging it well, he was hitting it far. The short game was the place that needed to work. Obviously, that takes time. You got to learn the technique. But he was getting after it. So we played as like a 7-some or a 6-some, which you can do at our club. It was like a Friday. It was just, kind of chaotic day. But we played 18 holes. And one of the guys that was in our group was like, hey, I've got some friends that are coming by the club. They want to go back out. You want to play like a second 9 or like an emergency 9. So we're like, yeah, whatever. Let's roll it back. Don't realize it's the Jonas Brothers that are coming to join us. So we go with this group that's already got Blake in it. And now we've added like the Jonas Brothers. And so we go out as like a 9-some or something, some preposterous number of people playing like the front 9 at our club again. And I remember Blake was like relentlessly teasing Nick because Nick was taking it super seriously, and we're
Yeah.
in like a nine-some, and there's bets. I forget what game we were playing, but people are gambling. There's maybe some like beverages that had been consumed, so it was a loose day, and he's like, dressed like he's on the PGA Tour, head to toe, black PXG,
Grinding over the 2-footers.
grinding. And at one point, Blake just started calling him the Mean Jonas, which is like, because Kevin was there and he was so nice. And I think one of the guys asked Kevin like if he was like a PA for the band, and he was like, "No, I'm in the band. Like I am the Jonas brother." It's like, and he's so sweet. And then Nick, by the way, Nick is awesome and as cool
he's
as
really
they come.
cool.
But he was like grinding it out, and finally, Blake, I think called him the Mean Jonas, and then he finally broke and like started laughing, and then we were good to go after that. But yeah, he's got game, and Blake gotten a lot better too. I mean, him and Chandler Parsons these days, that's all they do is play golf.
Yeah, everyone's obsessed with golf.
Is there anybody that you would want to play with? Like, what would be, I'm sure you play with a ton of pros. Like, if you ever play with Tiger, what's like?
I want to play with Tiger. He gave me a chipping lesson at his charity event years ago. Most nervous I've ever been to like hit a chip. I took a practice swing and I kind of puffed up the grass and I teed my ball up, and he called me out for it, and I was like, I'm not chunking this in front of you. We're putting it on a tee. I just feel like, you want to play with Tiger. I think that's definitely number one. And I've played with a lot of the celebrities that I've wanted to play with. I think I think I made it moment was when I played with Nick Jonas, because when you're my age growing up, the Jonas Brothers were like everything, like the Beatles to us. And so to play with Nick Jonas was really cool. But yeah, I think there's a lot of pros that I would love to actually play like a full 18 with.
Mm-hmm. What did he teach you?
So we were doing this low little spinny shot, and so we opened the club up almost like on your back, open stance, narrow, choke down, and you take it out and almost slice across it. And it's really, if you hit it with like a 54, it comes out low and then checks on the second bounce. It's a really cool shot.
And did he demonstrate it for you?
He did, and it was perfect. He also, I've said this so many times, he smells so good. I don't know what cologne he wears, if it's just his aura, his sweat, but he smells amazing.
That's one thing I've never heard about Tiger Woods, that he smells great. I'm not surprised.
He smells so good.
I met him once at a PGA Tour function and like completely just like blacked out. And and I was in the in the room, and there was like other fancy people, whatever. It's a commissioner's thing, and I thought, I already knew like Rory, and he was there too, and so I was like, oh, this is gonna be no big deal. And then I get introduced to Tiger Woods, and I'm like, hi, it was, I don't remember his smell because I don't remember anything else, completely blacked out. Because the reason why I'm in golf, doing anything in golf, is because of Tiger.
Yeah, he has this aura about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, we've all been around, A-list celebrities, the most famous people. Like, golf just kind of leads you into that, which is incredible. There's something about Tiger Woods that you can't explain. It's this it factor, this charisma. When he walks into a room, you feel it. Like the air changes. I've never seen that with any other celebrity that I've ever been around. It is just, there's something about him that is like, it's like he's not human. It's crazy.
Oh man, Tiger Woods smells good. I'm over here with maxi pads in my armpits. It doesn't seem right. Paige, I imagine your DMs are insane. I'm wondering if you've had celebrities DM you for like swing tips.
Yeah, that's
Under
like
the guise of swing tips, but
yeah,
then being
it's
like,
always like the number one. Yeah, slide in. Like,
Yeah.
give me a lesson. Like, how do I fix my slice? Like, can you teach me how to chip? Yeah, it's been a lot.
all right, fair enough.
I'll never say who though, because
Yeah.
it does take a lot of courage to actually like DM someone, and I think it's so cringy when people call out people who've like slid in their DMs, because I think a lot of them too come from like an actual place of, hey, where did you get your putter? Or like, can you actually help me with this? So I don't think it's always coming from the place that people think it is. So that's why I never say anything.
I don't know about that.
Two things can be true at the same
That
time.
is true. You know when people have come up to me and say, you have fixed my bunker game? Or I have an amazing short game now because of you. Or you've lowered my handicap like 10 shots. So
Yeah,
It
but
is
that's
true.
legit. But the DMs, I feel like that's, I don't know. Is it always at like midnight? It's really,
2 a.m. Yeah,
yeah,
and it's in the vanish mode.
yeah, exactly.
You up? Hey, help me with this swing thought. You said your game is kind of like the best it's been in a really long time. I'm wondering, what are the things that you've been working on? What are your swing thoughts? That is like, translating into like you clicking on all cylinders.
So I've completely retooled my entire golf swing. I've been working with this amazing instructor, Vince, and for so many years of my career playing golf, I was doing a technique that really just didn't fit my body and my how I like to swing. And so we've just really been using my athleticism and not focusing as much on positions. I think that when I first learned the game, I learned from someone who was taught by Mac O'Grady. And Mac O'Grady is a legend, but it's very P1, P2, and it's a very specific way and a certain swing philosophy that really works for some people, but it didn't really work for me. And so I was always a pretty bad ball striker because I was trying to get in these positions and finagle my swing and just it was never working. And so now we've kind of stripped all of that back, working with my athleticism and also just how my body likes to swing. And it's transformed my ball striking. And I was going down when I should have been going up, and I was going up when I should have been going down. And we've changed everything. And I don't have the yips off the tee anymore, which I had when I was playing golf professionally. I'm hitting more than like 6 greens. I was playing golf in college and then pro, and I was averaging 6 greens around and shooting under par. So my short game really had to save me, and my short game's always been really good. But now I can actually like find fairways and find greens, and that has been kind of the secret sauce to like shooting lower scores. Like who knew? Like you hit more fairways, you get more greens, you shoot lower scores.
God, the driver yips are the worst. That's always been my bugaboo. It's just
Yeah.
especially on a course you've never seen before. You start getting worried about a hazard or OB or something. I mean, even still at our course, there's one hole that's got really only one hole where you can really hit it out of bounds. And I still, even now, as like a much better player, you put those stakes over there, and it's like I'm hitting it out of bounds. It just kills me. It's all confidence. So maybe I need to take a page out of. I got to talk to Vince. Maybe you can.
You do. Yeah, he's a miracle worker. Because I would stand on the tee and I'd be like, I don't know where my golf ball is going. And it was so bad where my parents would come to my events and my mom would walk up the right side, my dad would walk up the left side because we had no idea where it was going, and they had to find my golf ball on every single hole. Because I had this nasty snap hook and this huge slice, and I couldn't play golf. And I'm like, I think the reason I hated golf so much is when you're standing on the tee and you're like, I don't know where this ball is going. Mm-hmm. It's stressful. And now it's like I can have some stress-free rounds of golf, and I'm like, golf is fun. This is great.
Last thing on your game, I heard a rumor you might have broken par at Oakmont at the media day. Is that true?
Yeah, so I shot a 68 at Oakmont. I was 4 under on the back 9, so I started on hole 12. It was a shotgun start. And I 4 under, and then we had a couple of weather delays, and I kind of let it go a little bit on the front, but still held it together. But yeah, everyone was like, you shot what at Oakmont? But I love that golf course. So a thing with me too is like, if I love the golf course, I'll play really well on it. It has to like look a certain way to my eye. Like I don't play well when there's a lot of water hazards or OB. Again, it's just like a thing mentally. But if a course looks good to me, I will always shoot well. I'm such a head case is what you can probably are getting out of this.
So my wife wants to start taking lessons, and she's doing a Broadway show where she has to swing a golf club, and so she had to take lessons for that. And she asked me like, what should I be doing? And I tried to explain it to her, but if we're being honest, like women's bodies are so much different than men's are, and I assume the challenges of a swing are different for you than they would be for me. So for the women out there, like what is some of your tips to like, having the Paige Spiranac golf swing?
Yeah, so it's really hard because a lot of, new female golfers start working with male instructors, and there's kind of this, big issue in the chest area that male instructors aren't comfortable to adjust, and 2, they don't really know because it's just, not something they've had to work with. And so I've always felt stuck on my takeaway, and I finally realized that I need to stand a little bit farther away from it. I know that's not correct, but it really does help. And then you go, if you are a right-handed player, you go over on your left arm and under on your right arm. And then from there, you're basically in the position. All you have to do is turn. If you have your right arm to your side, you really have to come out and over, which pushes your hands out, brings your takeaway inside, and then you'll cross at the top. And so those are a couple keys that have really helped me, and I've shared those online, and a lot of women have said that it's really helped them as well.
It's a good note. Sarah, if you're listening, that's what you got to do. Over on your right arm, under on your left.
I'll give her lessons.
Yeah. Awesome.
If she DMs you, I'm going to be concerned as well, actually. So
That 2 a.m. Help me with my golf setup.
Okay, so we'll close it out. Paige, by the way, thank you so much for coming on the Vanity Index podcast. This has been so much fun. Are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Hit me with it.
All right, you already said this, but your golf handicap is?
+4.
Golf style, bold or classic?
Bold, for sure. Chaotic.
Walk or ride?
Walk all day.
Biggest golf pet peeve?
Slow play. Or when their clubs clank when they're walking. Hate that.
All right, Chris Pratt. Hurry up. Favorite course you've ever played?
Pine Valley.
What's one course you want to play?
Augusta.
That's everyone's,
I know.
you know? And you know who could probably get you on there? That handsome man right there, Chad.
Chris Pratt?
Yeah, Chris Pratt.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Dream foursome.
Oh, gosh. Tiger Woods, Rory, and Jay Monahan. I feel like it'd be interesting.
Well, that would be interesting.
That's a good one. Favorite swing thought?
Smooth. Tempo. Focus on tempo.
Favorite golf movie?
Oh, Tin Cup.
Change one rule, what would it be?
Oh, wait. I should go back. Happy Gilmore, too.
Yeah.
Put me in it.
It hasn't come out yet, so it can't be your favorite movie
When it
yet.
comes out, Happy Gilmore, too.
Yeah.
On Netflix, July 25th.
Exactly. You're still in it. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Cutting room floor right there.
I know.
Change one rule, what would it be?
You're penalized immediately if you play slow.
Love that.
What's your favorite club in the bag?
My 54-degree wedge.
What's your least favorite club in the bag?
My 5-iron. I hate it. I think it's broken.
Favorite adult beverage on the course?
Ooh, John Daly.
How many holes in one have you had?
4.
Jeez.
5, but I only count 4.
What's your best score?
A 63 at the Farms in Rancho Santa Fe.
And give us one word to describe your game.
Unpredictable.
Paige Spiranac, thank you so much for coming on the Vanity Index podcast. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me.